This podcast is rated R for restricted.
Would you put this in the top 250?
No.
I don't know. I'd have to write myself a note.
We're going backwards.
Wait, I've got something really artfully tattooed on my chest.
What do I
here.
do?
It took 3 hours because that seemed like the most efficient way to keep track of shit.
When you got to write it
Tattoo
down
yourself.
and all the tattoo parlors are closed.
Yo, could you imagine? All I was thinking the whole time was like, if this was like now, it'd be so much easier to keep track of. You'd have iPhone doing the whole thing for
Yeah,
you.
right. No
You
kidding.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
It would just like
have
it would just
your-
list
that's
through
true.
the things. It would be like start.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what? It's 9:30. You got to be doing this.
Right.
9:50. You got to go over here. 1 o'clock. You got to
That's
meet
right.
this chick. And then,
Hey Siri, what the who am I supposed to kill today?
Exactly. It would be all Tim Cook.
You can do a
no
sequel.
issues.
You lose your
Yeah.
iPhone and then you get stuck. Like all you try to do is find it, and you have this. And the whole
Yeah,
movie is
right.
trying
That's
to find your
Memento
iPhone.
in 2023. Exactly.
So we're watching Memento. This movie came out in 2000, before iPhones and technology, I guess.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan's first full-length feature.
And writing, really, other than putting it on your body, like that's like somehow.
I mean,
maybe
they didn't
back
have-
in those
they
days,
didn't have
tattooing
Post-it
was
notes?
easier than like
Yeah.
penmanship.
You can't steal a
Yeah.
tattoo. You can steal a Post-it note, I guess.
Yeah. True.
Yes.
True. Or someone can
you
swap it on you.
I don't know.
The synopsis.
Laser that while
Swap
they
it on.
sleep, I guess.
Oh, we're
I
doing
don't
synopsis.
Hey, why not? We're doing synopsis?
go ahead.
Oh, whatever.
I
Memento.
don't care.
Who cares?
So we start with book corner. We do trivia first. What do? We're going backwards. You do like one scene and then you jump
Well, we
back.
gotta go
and then
one way versus the other. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so this was. I read the short story and
Oh.
I didn't care about it. So
Oh,
there's
nice.
that.
Good.
It's not really. It is about a guy who can't remember things whose wife was murdered. But that's the other
Is that it?
characters are not in the story really. It's mostly just that guy.
You got no Trinity. You got no.
No
She
Trinity.
was beautiful. I mean, she still is, but
Oh,
Jesus,
she's so
she was-
amazing. She's so
I mean, she was great. Yeah.
She's just always just really charismatic.
Yeah, she just had a,
couple of
very-
years here.
Yeah, it was just a good vibe. I mean, it was such a good hidden evil person.
Yeah.
You know?
She is fantastic.
I think we should do something we haven't done in a long time.
What?
And one of you is going to shoot me down. I'm sure of it, but I still want to do it. I want to go through this movie linearly, not as the movie lays it out. I want to try to make sense of this movie as it goes from where the story actually starts to where it actually ends. I think that would be
the thing
good.
that I
That's
will do,
not a
if
bad
that's really what
idea.
you want to do, is just read the fucking Wikipedia page that has like 3 paragraphs that really sums it up.
I
and
don't want to
shows
do that. I want to do it with you guys because I have
I
questions.
don't want to do it. Well,
I
if
wanna
you
make
want to
this
do it,
up
I'll
as I
sit here
go.
and let
What do
you
you
try to
think?
do it, but I'm not
Yeah.
going to make much effort.
I think that's a tall order because it just doesn't. I mean, I have to admit, I didn't know if I was as into this movie as I was when I watched it in 2000.
Agreed. That's why I want to do it
Yeah.
because, like,
Yeah.
this time I'm watching it and I know kind of where it's going, and it's John's turn to go first. John's extra cranky. He's wrapped up in a blanket. He's the oldest he's ever been.
I'm cold.
He's
I'm
old and he's
yes,
cold,
That's right. I'm
folks.
old and I'm cold.
Yeah. Yeah.
Old
Are you-
But
is
hey,
it not
you know
warm
what
there?
he's not? You know what he's not, which we can thank the universe for? He's not sick today.
And he's not tired. Are you
Not
tired?
sick. Maybe
So
I'm
he
getting a
did
cold,
heal.
which is why
He
I'm so
did-
tired today.
Oh,
I
he's
could be
tired.
getting one.
Yeah.
This would be a
ask.
prelude to a
Hey,
cold.
don't worry, guys. I might be getting
I
sick.
could be brewing one right now. It's okay.
I mean, Denny, it's a good idea. I mean, I don't know. It's a tall order. But,
I don't think
you know,
it'll take that long, but it'll lead to some questions because I think the way this movie's put together makes it so confusing that you can't concentrate on how a lot of it doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever.
Yeah, wow.
I think once you know the trick, it's definitely not as appealing as it was
Yeah.
when I first watched it.
That's true. I think going into this blind and watching it happen is a pretty cool, because I remember liking this when I first saw it. And,
I did
and there was
too.
a ton of buzz
Everyone
about
did.
it. And,
It was also 22 years ago.
Yes, that's true.
I mean, I
It was
can't trust
extremely
myself
unique
back then at all.
at the time.
Yeah. So there was all of that. And I sort of like, I don't know if I really loved it. I appreciated it though. I was like, wow, that was different. Hadn't seen something like that. So
Yeah.
watching it now, I just don't. And again, this might be, I'm just in a total don't care mood. I was like, I don't care about this. This I don't care
it's
about.
just the
oh,
age,
you're being tricky.
you know?
Oh, the colors forward and the black and whites backwards or vice versa. I forget. Whatever. I don't care. Go ahead, you tricky little film.
Yeah,
Which you make no
I have to
sense when you
say,
think
it
about the
kind of
things.
it got a little bit
Tricky little
boring
film.
for a bit after you
Yeah.
start to lose. Because, like,
I mean,
when I didn't know what the story was, you could be a little bit confused and be like, all right, well, this is what they're going for.
It's
But
slow,
then when you
and
know
it's
the trick,
it's
you're
kind
like,
of the same
nah.
thing over and over again, but as you're going backwards, so you're kind of getting the Groundhog Day, seeing things, even though it's Groundhog Day in reverse. But
And he's setting them up, and so you kind of get this little story that
and
unfolds.
his voice
but
is very soothing. It was a little sleepy making. I mean, I did. There's the one I did like the scene, which did make me laugh. It's like, oh,
Am I chasing him?
Chasing him?
Yeah, the way he says it was so calm. It's like, oh, nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
He's chasing me. Okay.
That was funny.
I also laughed really hard when like the bad guy with the gun pulls up next to him, and his reaction was just to look straight and drive forward.
Huh? Yeah,
that cut was hilarious because
it's all conveniently plot. Like there's no real set time when he loses his memory. It just all works for whatever plot device needs to happen to make it interesting in the moment. I guess.
But then you kind of find out that like he's in this loop. Sort of, right? Where he's like stuck and he doesn't get it.
And really, and he's some kind of like assassin that's being used by this guy, which seems, really ineffective.
It seems kind of improbable. I'm not going to lie. I mean, like, where did this come from?
All right, my biggest problem with this movie is he's an assassin for this guy. And one of the guys that's tattooed on his chest is John G or whatever. And the guy's name is John G. Is he not afraid of being murdered at some point? Come on.
I didn't understand that either, Denny. I'm so glad you brought that up. Yeah. Like you're
I'm a John G.
With this
You're like,
psychopath.
yeah, you should remove yourself from this guy because he's trying to kill a John G.
Not
like
a good idea
someday he's going to kill you.
The explanation kind of, I don't know, it kind of worked because he's so lost, so they don't, I mean. There was a lot of like this, like, well, if they've seen him a million times, like they're all fucking with him, right?
Can we get into it? Because like, so he starts out, the Teddy character starts out because he felt bad for this guy because he was the one who covered his case, right? So he started out at the very beginning to be a good guy, and they spent a lot of time together, whatever, way before the beginning of the movie. They found the actual guy, it sounded like, and they killed him. And at that point, the Teddy guy, who was once a great cop,
and Teddy
a good
really
cop,
liked, it was like,
he was happy, everyone was happy. But at that point, he was like, oh, he's not going to remember it. Yeah. So I'm going to become an assassin's pimp and just find random dudes I can kill and use this guy who loses his memory to kill them to steal their money over and over again.
But then so is she, right? So
well.
She's doing it, right?
She's not. I don't think. So I have questions about her too.
She is because she uses him to get rid of that other guy.
Or that other guy.
And
but she only knows him because he drove up at her ex-boyfriend's.
Right.
So that's why I want to go through it linearly because it gets very confusing. It gets confusing when you talk about it, right? Because like everyone's motivations are kind of all over the fucking place. Like from her perspective.
What I don't understand though is that they don't really discuss like how long his short-term memory lasts.
It's based on a real thing. Right? Like you can look it up. It's based on a real disease.
Well, you have anterograde amnesia. You can
that's what it is.
HM is like the really classic character, like person who had this, and it was really striking because
who's HM?
He would very rapidly forget stuff and remember. He remembered everything he learned up until his memory deteriorated, and then he would just not be able to learn new stuff.
But it seemed like in the movie they decided like how long he would be able to learn and how long he would be able to remember based on the situation.
Their justification there was that it depends on the number of things that happen to you from one time to the next. So like if you're not distracted.
Oh, but I'm so glad I knew that. How would you know that, right?
How much does it serve as a plot device in the moment? So
right.
You let things happen for as long as it makes
it.
sense for a nice thing to happen with the plot, and then he forgets things because that's what you want.
Yeah, like the whole scene in the bar where she spits in the thing.
It's just
and
very
like
contrived.
I don't know. I was just like, wait a second. So far in this movie, and I gotta remember watching this too, but never dawning on me.
If he's tattooing on himself, that takes like 3 hours. I don't know how long. He's got some pretty nice tattoo.
But then also
writing.
The phone conversation that's in the black and white lasts for half the fucking movie, right?
Right.
Is it a 30-minute conversation? I have no fucking clue. And then they call back, and then and also I don't know if I follow. Who exactly is he talking to?
So let's start. Okay, let's start. The movie starts when he wakes up in the hotel room. He doesn't know what hotel room he's in. This is the first period of time we see on the film that's not a flashback that has Guy Pearce's character, right? We can agree there. Yeah. He's waking up in a hotel room. It's black and white. He checks the drawer. There's a Bible in the drawer. Mm-hmm. And then he gets up. He starts like looking at his tattoos and shit. And then he gets a phone call and he starts talking on the phone. And he talks on the phone with some random cop for a long period of time and gives like a shit ton of exposition about, Sammy Jenkins.
I assume he's talking to Teddy. It's Teddy he's talking to, right?
We assume.
Because Teddy's his buddy.
Yes.
Teddy knows
But there
him
were
well.
some moments in the conversation where it sounded like it could be a female that he was talking
But
to.
also, Teddy should already know all of this, though. Because
he's
that's
already
his
heard
friend.
the story
Teddy
5,000
should have
times.
all this information already.
You'd think
Yes.
so, but maybe this was the first time he had like tried to use him as an assassin.
But how would he have
No.
like? How did he know
I
him?
don't
How
know.
did he meet him? What's the fucking story there? Where did they run into each other? How did
Well,
they
he was
have
on the
this
case.
conversation?
He was in the case where.
But then in that case, he should know everything before the phone call because he would have been on the case. So
he
met
made
the
up
guy.
Sammy Jenkins, right? Like that wasn't a part of his life before he used it as
True.
like a tool
Sammy Jenkins
to
was
forget.
just some things,
Yeah.
right? So that because he was actually the one giving the insulin.
Right.
That's
So
true.
this guy
he
is like-
killed his wife with insulin
Yeah.
because she survived the attack.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
That's all.
So the
if,
guy
if we
sucks.
believe Teddy
Is-
at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we're So, we're in the,
we're on the
we're at
phone
the
for a
hotel,
while.
right?
So okay, now he's in the hotel. He's in 2 different rooms for some reason. Why is he in 2 different rooms?
They were charging him for 2
Double?
rooms.
But why
so that-
even just
I thought
charge
maybe
him
some of it
twice?
was because someone died in one of the rooms
No,
one night.
I thought it was
but-
because like they just then could overcharge him, which is stupid.
But
They
how
could
is
just
that
I think that was
overcharge
the
him.
joke,
He
but I
doesn't
don't know
have
if that
to be
was
in
the
like
truth.
more than one room.
But
to
that doesn't
overcharge
make
him
any
for a
sense.
room,
So you have
'cause he
two.
wouldn't
You're
know.
renting it out to a guy who doesn't remember 2 rooms. You don't give
Yeah.
him 2 sets of keys because then it'd be like, why do I have 2 sets of keys? You just charge him for 2 rooms and then give him 1 set of keys.
and
And
say
if that
you're
was
in
the case,
304.
then you're in 304 and you're not staying in 2 rooms. It makes
Yeah,
no
that
sense
makes
that he's
sense.
staying in 2 rooms.
I don't know why they gave him 2 rooms.
I just put something together in my head that something bad happened in one of the rooms over the course of the past, and we don't know why. So he like had 2 rooms. We fucked up one, so they moved him in another. But I have no
protect
idea.
him?
That's just what I
And they
made up.
charged him for-
Okay,
charged
I don't
him
think-
for
I don't
2
think
rooms.
that front desk
I
guy's
like that. I
protecting
like that.
him.
Let's go with that, TC. Then they charged him for 2 rooms while they were trying to clean it before they were too lazy to clean up the
This
other
is
one.
bullshit. There's no
But-
way.
I mean, that's what I mean.
Well,
But this is the
So?
stretch. This is the stretch you have to make if you're confused on why the hell he has 2 rooms.
I'm
I mean,
sorry,
like I
do you-
didn't.
do you
I
have-
couldn't.
do you have a better
I made this
explanation?
up.
No, I think
right?
the movie is just I'm not gonna say it's poorly written, but the logic is flawed because they know it's going to be too confusing for people to think of it like this. The whole
Yeah.
idea is he has 2 rooms, so it's double the money, and the guy's ripping him off. That's it. They didn't think
Yeah.
of the fact that like he's going to walk into one room, some of his shit's going to be in there, but the key's
Right.
not going to be in there, and the guy's going to be like, "Whoa, wait, you have shit in another room
does
too."
not enter the picture
Yeah.
often here. It's
Yeah.
the same thing as the friggin' tattoos. It's like when you think about like the actual, or the same thing about Teddy hiring a demented person as an assassin. Like it just none of that makes sense.
Or like, but like,
practically
can
speaking,
you imagine
it would
in
not
the
work.
like he's
It would have
getting
worked
the
if he had
tattoo.
changed his name. Damn it, Teddy!
Yeah,
You should have
right.
just
But if
changed
he's
your damn
getting the
name.
tattoo, wouldn't he have moments where he forgets in the middle of the tattoo and he's like, fuck, what are you
No,
doing?
because he has
right?
the note.
I mean, like,
No, he has the note. He always has the piece of paper note next to him. He's reading off the note, tattoo, note reading, tattoo.
Yeah, I don't. But
I
he's
don't
quite the
know. I
artist
don't
with
know.
just
I
the
mean-
pen and the burned needle to be able to have such intricate lettering. You know.
No, he
like-
goes to the tattoo artist for the nice ones. The shitty ones
I
he
didn't
does in the
even- I didn't
hotel
see-
room.
the
Did they
shitty
show
ones he
that?
does on
Yeah.
his legs and shit.
The one he
but
got on
has
the
a
leg
couple on his
right
chest.
after he wrote the license plate number down. He like booked it to a tattoo place and
Oh,
got
and
the
she-
thing on.
I guess because he did do that like screeching halt when he saw
Right.
one of the tattoo
Just
shops.
tie,
But like,
tie a notebook around your neck. You know,
Because people can steal that.
Oh, I guess
People do
so.
steal his shit. Because like think about
That's
like
true.
that's
if
true.
he had, he would have known who Teddy is. Who's stealing his shit? Teddy
Right.
was in his life before, and he had to take a picture of Teddy towards the beginning of this movie to get a picture that said Teddy on it. Where was his other
Okay,
picture
okay.
of Teddy?
So I guess we can justify the tattoos a little there. I suppose.
I think Teddy's stealing all of his shit because Teddy is
Yeah.
always tailing him. He pops out of nowhere frequently.
right all the time.
Well, he pops out of nowhere frequently in the movie because they keep having to reframe what happened that day. But I don't know if
But
that's
in
actually
reality, he's
in
coming
reality
out
only
of
popped
Natalie's
in
house.
once.
He's coming out of
right?
Natalie's house. He pops out of nowhere. He comes out of somewhere. He comes out of the bar or something like that.
Which
He's
makes
in
you
the
wonder
car.
if the Natalie and Teddy are in on it together since they're always so close.
No, Teddy's like warning
think Natalie killed
warning him
Teddy,
against
right?
Natalie. I think.
I don't fucking
All right, let's
know.
keep going to the story. So then,
Okay,
because I think
all right,
we'll help
yeah.
like make this make
Okay.
sense to each other.
Okay.
So he's on the phone for a while, whatever. He reads a tattoo. It says, "Don't answer the phone." So he freaks out and hangs up. Goes to the front desk, talks to the guy, or he calls the front desk and he's like, "No more calls." And he's like freaking out, being paranoid. And the guy at the front desk calls and he's like, "It's a cop," and he wants to talk to you. Does he talk to him then? He eventually leaves.
Yeah,
Like, the
I think so because don't they listen to him on the phone and then they report that to someone else at some point? Yeah.
the whole first half of him, kind of the black and white section, is just exposition dialogue. Nothing really plot wise happens, right? Except for we learn that
Not
he's
really.
like afraid
I
of.
mean, you get to relate the story, the made up story of the insulin or the guy who had the really bad memory problem.
Yeah,
like
you
the
get
sort
all
of
this
fake story
backstory,
there.
all the flashback in
Yeah.
his life.
which takes a long time. There's
It
a
does.
lot
It's half the
of
movie.
like Yeah, and it doesn't seem to be that important
to the
in
plot.
a way.
No, it's just explaining all of this other stuff the movie wants to like be about. So
Yeah.
like, but he's just in the
Right.
hotel room, and then he eventually leaves and goes to the front to meet this cop, and it's this cop Teddy that he sees for the very first time in his mind. He doesn't have any pictures of him. Teddy says that like he was working with another cop on the phone, right? He like says for some reason he lies to him about that, where he just doesn't say like it was me on the phone. Right?
Yeah, he does. He lies to him a couple
Why does he
times.
lie
I'm
to
not
him?
sure why. No, I did
Like,
because I
just
think he wants
it
to
was
get him
me
angry.
on the phone.
Is that all it was? Like she does, right? They know that his pushes buttons is to get him angry.
I guess.
I don't know.
But she doesn't know him for that long. So then, all right.
Yeah,
so then he goes.
but does she? We don't know because if she's got some kind of dealing with Teddy, then that means they would have had some sort of dealing in the past.
Maybe. So then, all right. So then he goes
Yeah.
with Teddy, takes his picture. They drive to this place. What happens after that? Does he just drops him off at the place?
I mean, honestly, I couldn't tell you. John's asleep.
John, help me out here. Help me out here.
No.
No,
I
I don't know.
don't even make much effort here.
Oh, come on. This is what we're doing.
I don't know. No, I'm
Do you
trying
know,
to,
though? You don't,
I
you
don't
don't
know.
know.
No,
I don't know.
I don't even
I don't
know.
know.
We
It's
just
really
all
hard
watched
to
this.
follow. Again,
So
with
is this
with
the time
way-
he goes and kills the guy with the tire iron? But like, if he's going with Teddy
to the
to the
house,
shed
right?
thingy,
No,
and
no,
he
this is where
finds
he-
the Jimmy guy there,
Yeah,
Jimmy
right.
G.
Yeah, he does the first killing.
Which
So then-
in theory,
In-
he
in
already
the-
killed some other day when he was
Right.
already there.
Right. He already killed the original guy who actually was responsible
Right.
for his wife.
So then Teddy sets him. Okay, so Teddy, I guess at that point in time, tells him that there's this. He found the guy.
That guy is Natalie's boyfriend. That's when he kills the guy with the tire, and then he hits the car and the clothes. And that's why Natalie's like kind of annoyed with him right from the beginning because he's driving the car and wearing
Right.
the clothes of her
True, of
boyfriend.
her
Okay, so
boyfriend,
him
right.
and Teddy
Yeah.
drive separately. They meet at the hotel, but then they get in separate cars. And Guy
Right.
Pearce goes
Why
ahead.
trust this guy to drive anywhere would be hilarious. You know, that's already hilarious.
So he
But
goes.
whatever.
So he goes ahead by himself. Goes to this
Yeah.
shed thing and kills this random dude who happens to be Natalie's boyfriend, who is a drug dealer and thinks
Then
there's
he
a drug
happens
deal
to go
going
back
on.
to the bar where he happens to go to the bar where Natalie is bartending, seeing that he probably just killed her boyfriend or drug dealer.
Right, but that was
or
the first time she
boyfriend
saw him,
slash
right?
drug
Because
dealer.
he drives up because he found this note in his pocket from the
Right.
dead boyfriend's jacket. So he's like, I'll
Oh,
go to
yeah,
this
yeah.
bar
Oh,
and
yeah,
meet
that's-
Natalie.
that's
And
how
Natalie
that
looks in
works.
the
Oh, yeah, there
car
we go.
expecting her
Yep.
boyfriend and
Yep.
is shocked because it's not. And her reaction there is one of the most confusing logical parts of the movie. If someone was driving your boyfriend's
Who the
car
fuck
and
are
wearing
you?
his clothes,
Right?
wouldn't you be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah,
She's just
no,
like, oh,
you know
I
what?
thought you were somebody
the
else.
only reason why I was
Yeah.
able to let that go is because he's a drug dealer. So she's smart enough to say, "Hey,
She just
I'm not
knows
going to
this
fuck with
guy's
this. There's
probably
something
dangerous.
wrong here, right?"
and then she
This could be a
somehow
cop.
learns
This could
that
be
he has
someone
the
that's,
amnesia
you
bit,
know, right.
spits in his drink and all that.
Or she was a
I
part
kinda
of the
made that
deal to
connection.
kill her boyfriend.
Or she was all part of this from the start, which is why she's all involved with Teddy, which just means they've been both fucking with him the whole time.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's true because it's confusing.
Yeah.
Because I think Teddy's whole motivation is that he doesn't necessarily want to kill this guy. He just wants to fake a drug deal. So this guy, who he thinks he'll be able to get away with murder, brings money, right? He's just murdering for money. He's not murdering for any other reason. He just
Teddy?
Teddy
Oh,
just
I had
wants
no
the money.
idea.
Because they had
I didn't-
$200,000 in the trunk, and they were like talking about how he killed him for money. And he's like, "Don't worry, I'll give you half of the money."
Okay.
But I think that's what Teddy's motivation is. He's not like finding bad guys and doing good things.
Or he's not like getting revenge on people. He's
Right.
just got like part of the scheme of like, let's kill this guy. If they
Yeah.
get caught, this guy gets caught, not us. And then we can get the money and screw him out of it every time and charge him double for fucking hotel rooms.
Yeah,
It's sick.
because he's going to
Yeah.
forget him. He's going to forget
Right.
that he gets the half, and he's going to get all of it.
I
So
guess,
that's
I
good.
guess you can see that as kind of a good sort of thing. If you could actually get him to do anything that, you know, if the cops sort of pick him up or catch him in the act, like he's pretty much scot free because he won't remember
Forget-
anything.
except for the
right?
photograph that says Teddy on it in his
Right.
pocket.
Well, and
all the
except for the fact that
tattoos
he's
or whatever,
driving
but-
around in the car, he's showing
Yeah.
up at their
So there'd
house,
be a whole
he's
lot of
showing up at
evidence.
Teddy's, he's making
Yeah,
it, he's having dinner with Teddy, he's doing all this shit. Like if anybody was tracking any of them, they'd all be in jail, right?
If I had this,
like,
what do you call it? Is it an illness? Is it a mental disorder? What is it?
Well, it's a
he
medical
called it an
condition.
accident.
Medical.
in the
I have
movie,
a medical
so.
condition. I would not sleep
Yeah.
at somebody's house that I didn't know.
Although he
right?
can't remember, he doesn't know when he gets there. I mean, she's pretty.
When you go into the details of the fictitious guy, they're saying that it's psychosomatic or that, you know, it's more psychological. Which whether or not you really do that.
But then
I
it
don't
turns
know.
out it
But,
wasn't because it was all his shit the whole time. He's just some fucking nutcase
yeah.
who
So
lives
who
in this
knows?
loop of bullshit all day and tattoos himself. Like, might as well live in fucking Venice over here. I mean, honestly, I don't know what to make of it. The guys, it's such a weird. What I didn't understand is how did you come up with this shit? Just from reading a story about the condition? Like, I don't know.
I guess it's the idea, this idea that, what happens if, and that's the short stories kind of tries to emphasize that and say, what happens if you don't have time? What happens if you don't have time? And also, like, the last thing that happens to you is, or that you really remember, is your wife being assaulted and all of that. And you can't then... The story goes into this that he can't ever grieve. He can't ever get over it. He'll never like get over his wife's death because there's no time. There's like he's just always in that moment of realizing that she's dead and knowing that she was attacked and raped and all of that.
By him?
No.
By the two dudes, right?
By the two guys.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. Do we know that for sure?
Well,
We already forgot that he was in
You want to know
something.
something fun about this movie? There's a commentary track with Christopher Nolan, and in the last half an hour, there are 4. So it's the same for the first hour and a half, and then the last half an hour, there are 4 different commentary tracks, and the DVD randomly picks which commentary track you listen to.
No.
And 3 of them give 3 different explanations for the ending, and one of them is just audio reversed. So it's backwards. You can't understand
Jesus
anything.
Christ.
It's pretty funny. I was like, well, that's a way to do
Like,
a
what is
commentary
this?
track.
Yeah, they're
I
fucking with you.
got the second one. If you go to IMDb, it's the last piece of trivia. They list out all
that's
of what
funny.
they said. I got
That
the
is
second
kinda
one.
fun.
And the
Yeah.
second one kind of makes it seem that Teddy is telling the truth. And apparently the third one, it makes it seem like Teddy is lied the entire movie. Why would you believe him now? He's lying
Right.
about like this past thing. He's lying about
Right,
him
right,
actually
right.
killing him
That's
again.
fair.
So like the whole thing is, he doesn't want a real answer. Christopher Nolan doesn't
guess
want
that.
people
Fine,
to be
good
able
for
to
him.
pin it down.
This was a total movie that was meant to screw you up and just not.
Yeah, just mess with everything.
right.
Because again, who knows what's real and not real? Well, not and it's not real, and that's kind of the point. If you're
Getting ready for that
in this
Inception.
guy's head,
Yeah.
Testing
out the Inception theory. Will this piss people off? Kind of.
Well,
if we make it
do I have to
confusing
make
enough,
it make sense,
they won't
though?
know that they should
Yeah.
be confused by the end.
What if it's in a thing and the thing inside of another thing?
I don't want to
man?
watch any more Christopher Nolan films.
We get a really good-looking dude and just show his face and acting the entire movie, and then make the movie really confusing and have a couple intense action fight scenes, and then have a cliffhanger ending, and people will talk about it, and it'll make $500
It's
million.
almost like it sounds like Apocalypse Now.
At least they did that one front to back.
Yeah, right. Unbelievable.
So
He is a good-looking guy, though. He'd make a good David Bowie.
Not
He
anymore.
had
He's
that Brad
getting
Pitt.
older.
He had that Brad Pitt
Yeah.
thing going on.
All right, so we're in the bar. We're in the bar
we're
with
in the
Natalie.
bar. He's getting
Natalie
his swill.
just saw. So let's assume she doesn't know who he is, okay? Because I think that's the way the movie generally makes it out to be, right? Does that
Although
sound
she
fair?
might know who he is because the boyfriend told her about him. Remember, she says that.
How did the boyfriend know him?
Teddy.
So they met before during like some pre-meeting for this drug deal thing.
I think, or some sort of meeting with the family. It was involved somehow back then. Who knows?
So,
Or it's all an act, and he's really just a psycho, and they just found a psycho, and they're fucking with him the whole time.
I'm sorry, John, you don't find any merit to this. This movie is a very highly rated movie, and it should make some fucking sense. We should be able to make sense of it.
But
look who you're talking about, though. It's Nolan.
Christopher Nolan himself does not really want you to make sense of it.
Of the ending,
just
he wants the rest of it to make sense.
Nah. Again, why?
Yeah.
It's all
The
about
way-
this guy who has
the
no
way he
sense of
said that,
time,
like, he
can't
knows
remember
for sure.
anything.
Yeah.
So
No.
it doesn't need to make, none of it has to make any sense whatsoever. Everybody could be lying. He could be misremembering everything. And so there's really no need for it.
And we
to
learned the
make
tattoos
sense.
lie too, because he fucking
That's a good
lies to
point.
himself.
John's
Yeah.
actually onto something there.
Yeah.
Really, it doesn't. No, there's no necessary coherence to this, which is fine. They're trying to put you in this mindset of the guy.
You sound like a time snob, John.
I'm
You're a
time
fucking
snob.
time snob.
He's just a regular
that's a new
snob,
one.
okay?
I've been called all kinds. I know I'm snobbish, but I've never been called a time
John
snob.
thinks people
He's-
with time are so
he's
much
sick.
better than people without
he's
time.
sick and he's
Oh, yeah,
snobby.
I'm timist.
You're a
Okay? He's
timist.
a timist. Yeah, you are. He's a timist. I knew it.
God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm all about that sort of sequence of things, one after the other. That's the way nature intended. Anything else should be outlawed. That's
I'm
my
going
platform.
back to bed.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, so I think
kids in their
they're all in
backward
on it.
time. It's not right. It's against
The other
nature.
reason why they might be in on it is because they keep talking about all this instinctual shit. And so, like, it's almost like over the time as he's discussing that, he's figuring out that these people are against him, even though he's not able
So
to.
somehow,
put thought to
the
it.
idea is that the instinctual is a weird word to use sort of for it, I guess, but it means you remember, but you're not conscious of your remembering, so
or why
it's
you're
just
acting in a certain way. It's just happening.
Right. Instinctual is probably fine. It's this idea
Well,
of like,
he said it that way.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's sort of, an instinct is something that you didn't learn, but this is still something you've learned. You're just not conscious of learning it. That's all.
True.
So, but anyway.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what I think. Maybe some of that is them
that's
trying
what
to
their
get a
idea
hint
is.
at
Like
it, right?
maybe there's the idea that these things are seeping through regardless, even though he's still not aware of it. He still acts and has some sense of what's going on.
And the movie, you think it has something to say about that with that test they give Stephen Tobolowsky there. But then you probably learn that didn't happen because that guy didn't. That's not what actually happened.
But maybe it did happen to him. But maybe
he might have
it
been
didn't.
in the ward and not known it. Which is somewhere. I mean, they could have met Teddy and the rest of them in there too. He might not even be a cop. It could just be some fucking nut
film,
too, right?
Which I still don't know why you need the black and white forward stuff. But that's
dude,
fine.
if you didn't have black and white, this movie would be the most confusing movie in the history of movies.
Well, but that's the point. I think they want to put you in this person's
the color goes
perspective.
backwards, the black and white goes forwards, and it meets somewhere in the middle.
You feel like, and again, so if you think about it that way, it's a really interesting experiment they're trying to do. They're like, well, they want you to be confused, but not too confused. They want you to feel like you've got some idea of what's happening, but yet there's a lot of chaos. And so by doing both the forward and backward, they're trying to accomplish that kind of like to give you like, you're like grasping at a thread that you think you might understand what's going on, but it's still like terribly confusing and jarring at times. And the backward sequence certainly kind of does that. Even after you figure out what's happening, it's still like hard.
It's difficult. Yeah. By hour and a half and 2 hours, like an hour and a half in, you're probably like, all right, I've kind of gotten sick of this, like going in between these two things. Cause like they'll cut right at a time where it's like, oh, but I still don't know enough. And now we got to go listen to this fucking guy on the phone again. And then before you know it, you're like,
that's when it started losing me, was right around where we stopped with the plot thing. The first cut from the colored version is when he's in the bar and he gets the spit cup and it doesn't line up. Like up into that point in time, they overlap the colored sections a little bit. So like you can see where he was the time before.
Like right nearby.
Right.
So you're able to process the timeline.
But then that one cuts and it doesn't start, where that one ended last time. So it makes you jump to a conclusion.
You're like backing up further to the
and it starts doing
back,
that more and more. I think it's because they don't want the movie to be super fucking long. But like the switch to that and probably reduce the time plus like switch it up a bit and how it's edited. But I really liked the way it overlapped. Like every time it jumped back before then, I was like, oh man, I can't wait to see where like
because it was like a regular
spot.
Cadence. Yeah, it was like a regular cadence.
Plus like it would be like from where he ended up to where he began, it would be such a different tone. And you're like, oh man, how is he going to get back to this spot in 3 minutes? And then you'd watch and you're like, that was good. Like that's like the best part of the movie is like the first half of the movie. It's like colored scenes to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then once they start making it even more confusing where it just leaves gaps between those scenes.
Yeah, at some point they started doing, and I think it's because they had two different characters to contend with, right? So they had her and Teddy. And so like when you start adding in those two character arcs on top of his little thing, it becomes difficult to manage, I think, because there's no real good way to like show that each character's doing something without kind of having their own little scenes, right? But in the beginning, it's just Teddy. We're only dealing with Teddy. And then as soon as we add in, Natalie, it's when it starts getting a little bit confusing to a point of like, it's hard to follow. And then you start to get a little bored.
And then Dodd comes in and then Jimmy G. And,
then there's all these, what does Ryan call
the blonde girl.
Ryan always calls it juggling. He's like, wait till you juggle multiple characters and try to fucking make it all make sense and good luck. So I think that's really what ended up happening. It's just tough to have those things meet when you're already going forward and backwards in two different scenarios. And you've got
that seems to make sense that they're trying to like kind of tie these things together or not.
and make some kind of conflict between all the characters and try to figure out how to make it work in linearly, but also backwards. And I mean, I can see how hard this was. This has got a great pitch, I can imagine, right? Like when they were making
they were writing
it.
I wonder.
Yeah, I want to kind of read the script.
I wonder
too
how
now.
much was this done in editing and how much was it done in the script itself.
Yeah, because it would be interesting to know if they wrote in the script, the forward and backward stuff directly in the pages.
It was all so like the script was. They called it a very open script, or Christopher Nolan called it a very open script, where the plot points were rock solid because they had to be like the objects and the plot points had to be rock solid because there was no like this movie was written scene by scene before they started shooting it because it had to be because of the structure, right?
Right, but so they had that structure very clear.
Yes, but then the acting within that structure, like Stephen Tobolowsky and his wife, like the guy who plays Sammy Jenkins, like those were totally improv dialogue wise. Like what they did in those scenes, that was totally improv. And Guy Pearce improv'd a lot.
Because it wasn't really, you didn't hear them, what was going on really. Oh no, because I guess he was turning over the...
Yeah.
So all that stuff was like not really written in. And
there was no dialogue written for it. He was just like, all right, in this scene, he's going to like do this thing. And you guys just like, all right, go. You're going to be upset when he can't remember. And you're not going to be remembering and you're going to feel bad because you want to help her or whatever. Go for it. And then they would just film that.
I see. So they just had structure around where they wanted to go, but they didn't really have the stuff written down. Because
that's impressive. The performances are more impressive, but knowing that, because like Carrie Ann Moss's,
but it also kind of makes more sense as to why it was disjointed because like they weren't. I don't know.
There was the carefully crafted structure around the dialogue and interactions.
Yes, right.
So and the point of the movie, I think it's similar to like The Prestige. It's not about the logical telling of a story. It's like about the structure, right? It's about like the editing and
the whole
how that
point
lines
of this
up
movie.
with like the themes of the movie sort of thing. That's the thing that this movie's about.
But that's why I think the pitch was probably awesome. Like before they had made it, before pre-production, right? They had this thing that they were writing and they were just like approaching people and they're like, look, this is what the idea is. We're going to go with this fucking crazy forward and backward thing, right? And like, I can just imagine how fun that was. And then they probably got to the editing room and they were like, fuck, what do we do?
No, I mean, they already had it in the script lined up.
No, I know, but they're like had all this footage of improv shit, right? So first you got to get all that written down. You have to figure out what transcribe it. You got to learn.
Apparently, they didn't have that much footage because they filmed for 25 days, and the way he said it was that they were running around the entire time. Like the scenes where he was running from place to place was literally because they had to like save time. So him running around wasn't.
So they were doing 2-3 shots, boom, next. 2-3 shots, boom, next. Right. I mean, I could see it. Yeah. But I still think without dialogue, you have a lot of stuff to go through first in order to make sure that you even know the footage.
Yeah, I mean, you got Stephen Tobolowsky in there. That guy's a pro actor.
But at least dialogue, you can be like, okay, boom, boom, boom,
got it
through the different, we know we have it, right? Whereas, like, you're improv,
like,
you don't really know.
guess that would make it tricky. Like, was that good enough? I don't know. Is that
then
consistent with what was done last time? Is that going to like fit together if we had another scene where you said one thing, but then didn't?
And don't forget, this was like right now, you know what they do for that? They just use an iPad or a fucking, something to take a picture so they can, make sure they have a record of where the actors were. Because there's digital, but like back then, there wasn't any of that shit, right? So how are you going to be able to monitor that?
But again, they can always with this one be like, well, if it's disjointed or if it doesn't line up, well, that's okay because everyone's lying and no one remembers anything.
Well, and I mean, they might have been advanced too, right? They could have had good cameras that they could develop quickly overnight and check the images. I guess it's not that unheard of, but yeah, I mean, it just seems like this could be a lot more fucking complicated than we're.
$4 million for 25 days. They built like 3 sets, and the rest of it was just real locations they found.
Yeah, nice. I thought some of it looked like California.
Yep. Yeah, they filmed Long Beach. That shed.
So.
That shed was Long Beach, and that was the only thing they said. So I assume a lot of the movie is in Long Beach.
I think, I'm like, they just threw a Nevada plate on the cars. I can tell.
Yeah.
Like, it just looks like the neighborhoods and everything else. Doesn't look like Nevada to me, but that's cool.
Is that where we're supposed to take place?
Yeah, that's what's on the.
Maybe he stole the
cars.
car. Maybe they killed the last guy in Nevada.
We might not be. He might be in LA, right?
Yeah.
We have no idea. That's true. Teddy could be a fucking South guy.
Why does he want him to get out of town? These questions don't mean anything.
I mean,
John's here.
It's true.
Because everyone's lying and nothing makes sense because he doesn't have time.
Yeah. It's like, hey, Teddy, we already went over this literally 5 minutes ago. Did we not listen to me? I don't know. I'm going to bed. You guys
losing
suck.
time.
Yeah.
John stops logging into the Zoom calls when you lose time.
Yeah, that's right. I do.
He's a timist, the
He
son
is.
of a bitch.
Yeah.
We kind of generally talked about the drug deal. We don't know what happens there. We don't know who knows who. We don't know who motivated what.
Right.
I have to
Somehow
assume that
Teddy
Trinity
was going to make money.
right, but then what's her name? Not Trinity.
Natalie.
Natalie. Used Guy Pearce to kill Teddy. Right?
Yeah, because at one point she says, "Don't listen to him, listen to me."
Yeah. Plus, she gave him the license plate number.
True.
Well, yeah, but she did. But Teddy also like gave him the motivation to kill Teddy because Teddy told him these things about what he was doing, and so that's where supposedly I thought that's when he's like going to write down the license plate. He's making Teddy his next target,
Right, but
even though
she
he's
saw
gonna
it.
forget.
If she knew him, which we assume she did.
Yeah.
She saw it, got the license, saw it was Teddy, and was like, "I'm going to give this to him, and he's going to kill this guy."
Yeah,
that's
fine
okay
too,
with me.
But he's the one that also wrote down the license plate,
Right.
too, in the first place. He wanted Teddy to be his next target.
So did she want Teddy to be killed because she knew that Teddy was the reason that her boyfriend died?
I don't know.
Remember,
And she
none of
was-
this makes
she was
sense.
just, like,
Yeah.
All of it's
looking
made
No,
up
this
and
guy-
lies.
this
for him
Yeah.
because he asked. Maybe I don't know.
She realized that he wasn't faking his condition, that Teddy was taking advantage of this guy to be an assassin. She was going to also take advantage of this guy to assassinate the guy who assassinated her boyfriend.
That's what I'm saying. That's kind of what I meant earlier, right? Like they're all taking advantage of this guy in the same way. They're trying to get
okay.
this guy to kill other people.
That's sure.
But I don't understand why. And like, wouldn't you just want to help him out of like the good? You know, I mean, why aren't these people normal people? Why are they
Yeah.
all assholes? Like, what's going on here? Like, there has to be, like, I guess maybe it's just like the riffraff, right? Like a shitty cop and the bar people, right? Like these are not
But
people
he was
you
set up
want
to
to
be a good
friends
cop
with.
in the beginning. He was trying to help a down and out guy that nobody else believed.
Right,
Isn't
but he
that-
could be a scumbag who reps,
But then he
arrests
was
like,
like-
anybody who doesn't look at him the right way, right? I mean, I don't know. They don't go into any of that. That's kind of the problem, right? It's
No,
like,
he tries to say it like
We don't
it's
know.
like, well, you enjoyed killing that first guy so much. It's win-win. You're going to be happy killing another guy, and I'm going to make some money, and we're all happy.
true.
You think he really talks to him like that all the time after the kills? He's
yeah.
like, yeah, you'll
I
do
mean,
it again. Come
He's
on.
like, what do you got? 30, 29,
No, that
28,
was another
27?
really,
All right,
really
so you're
stupid part
fucked.
of the
And
film. That
yeah,
was
right.
just dumb.
Also,
Like,
the
that
part where
was-
she's yelling at him and calling him like all these names. It's like, what's
Yeah.
the point of
That
this?
was ridiculous. I don't
She
understand. what,
wanted to get him to punch
he was just
her
getting mad.
She
Yeah, he
wanted
just
to get him
she
to
knew
punch
his
her
trigger.
so she could trick him into killing
thinking
Dodd.
that it was the
Yeah,
boyfriend.
supposedly.
Yeah.
I assume
Right.
that's why.
That's
Couldn't
exactly
she-
why.
Couldn't she? I guess she could have.
She could have like done some makeup or something
Yeah.
and not had to get hurt.
That's true.
Um,
Maybe
I mean,
it's more
she just
fun.
went outside and waited for fucking 10 seconds and came back in like it was no big deal. Like, and then he has other scenes where things go by for like 30 minutes and he's fine. It doesn't make any sense.
I think that's part of the part of the problem with the editing is a lot of it towards the beginning is so linear that you think every second passing is a second passing in the movie. But
And that's
in a normal movie,
That's a good point.
there could have been a lot like that. Could have just been a long period of time. She could have waited 5
Right.
minutes out there.
That's true.
But the
Right.
movie already
Then-
has
then, as
conditioned
say,
you
it
to
sort of
like.
unravels in,
Yeah.
in the sense of
That
that.
is a very good point.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not a good thing because I thought the same thing. But I was like, oh, maybe
No.
they just want you to forget what they've taught us in the way this movie's put together, which is not a good thing
Or-
to do because we don't do that unless you tell us to forget it, and they didn't.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I got nothing for that. That was perfectly said.
Or I could be wrong, and she just thought
And,
it was
yeah,
10 seconds. Yeah, who
Right,
fucking
right,
knows?
right. Who knows? Exactly.
Is he still looking for pens in there?
Yeah.
Is he still looking for
right?
pens?
No, I think he's eating a ham sandwich. All right, we're good. Go in.
What is this? That was one of the funnier parts too. When he's like waiting, he goes into this guy's apartment. He's on edge because the guy just shot at him. He grabs a bottle. He's hiding in the thing, and he gets naked and takes a shower because he forgot what he was doing
He's doing. Yeah, right.
in this
Like,
other guy's
what?
apartment. That's just funny.
It's just ridiculous. Who are you? Who did this to you? You?
I laughed pretty hard at the scene where he kicks the door in because he thought it was the door
Oh yeah,
where
that
Dodd
was,
was.
a good little comedic effect.
There's just a guy
Yeah.
that got knocked out, and he's like, "Sorry,
Ooh,
close the
sorry.
door."
Ooh. Whoops. Maybe that was the other room. Maybe he killed that guy.
Mm.
Mm.
So what Dodd was staying at his same hotel?
Oh, but that's wrong because it's not 6 and 9, right? It was. He was going for room 6, but that wasn't the same hotel. It was a
No, he had
different
like
one, wasn't it?
200 and something, didn't he?
He had 304.
304.
Well, according to the front desk guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, this is all like the more you try and put it together, the more it doesn't make sense. I swear to God.
How did Dodd find him? Was it because he was just driving the Jaguar and he was So Dalton was driving around town.
Natalie told him
when
where
he was driving down the
was.
street. And then all of a sudden, the big red truck comes up behind him.
Oh, that's true.
I blame Teddy.
Maybe.
I blame Natalie somehow.
Yeah.
As Natalie said, I told you where he's coming to find you.
I think you're both right.
I think it was the Kardashians. I think they're at fault. While we're blaming people, let's blame who really did this.
Yeah.
It's the Kardashians. Yeah.
So then I guess what happens after that, they trick him into killing Teddy. And he is...
Well, trick him. I thought he wanted to kill Teddy too.
Well, he tricks himself and they trick him and he ends up killing Teddy.
And then he starts all over again.
And Teddy had no contingency plan for this. You know, I don't know. Why did he lie to him when he was dragging him down the stairs? Right? When he was like, there's a guy in here, Teddy, come check it out. And Teddy's like, oh shit. Yeah. And he's like, do I know you? Guy Pearce is like, do I know you? He's like, no, I'm just some cop. And then he goes downstairs. You're like, dude, why would you lie to him? You broke his trust right there. And now you're dead because you're an idiot. Just lying to a guy who can't remember shit for no reason.
Well, don't forget, he's been lying to him for weeks on end. Every
for no
day,
reason,
day
right?
in and day out. Yeah, he's been doing it for, we don't know how long. He could have been doing this for years. I mean, you look at the picture where he's got where he doesn't have any tattoos on his chest. He looked about 5 years younger, right?
Yeah.
So they make you think that maybe he's just been doing this to this guy forever. So he's used to lying to him. He lies to him every goddamn time he sees him, right? I don't know. But that's the only way I can let that slide is making that weird. Or not weird, but making that connection.
So at the end of this movie, he just kills Teddy and that's it, right? There's nothing after that.
And he just moves on to his regular routine again because
But he has no Teddy to help him.
Yeah, there's no
but
Teddy now.
he'll figure it out.
He'll
get
still
some
go
other
kill
asshole.
some other person
right.
maybe now.
That's true.
Yeah.
There's apparently a shot in this movie where it's a flashback, and he has where he's pointing at his chest in that one photo where he looks younger. It says something like "We got him" or "I got him" or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like that spot is saved for a tattoo saying that he did it,
Yeah.
but apparently he chose not to get the tattoo because
Forgot.
he knew he was gonna want to kill again or whatever.
Because all of it's a lie. None of it makes any sense and it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So I have two other things I wanted to mention that really didn't make any sense. We're coming off very negative in this movie. I kind of like this movie, but it doesn't make any
I
sense.
liked this movie in 2000. I don't know if I would watch it again.
I thought it was a pretty fun watch for the most part, just because of wanting to see how it got to where I knew it was going.
It is not a bad movie at all. It's just not one that makes as much sense as I'd like it to.
Yeah.
Knowing who the director is as well, I'm a little less inclined to.
Yeah, I think after this plus Inception.
Oh, we're screwed
plus
for
The
Inception.
Prestige.
Plus the
God.
other one, the fucking last one.
Oh, well,
he did.
Tenet, I haven't even gone there. But I
fucking
think I'm
shoot
just
me.
tired of this approach. And
This
it's
is
like,
John's favorite review line. I am tired of it.
I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this approach where
Look, I might have had
Nolan's
energy
concerned.
5 years
It's like-
ago,
it's
but
like
now
done with, it's done in an odd way without like depth of feeling. So I just But
John's
anyway.
old and
So one of the
cold.
things in terms of
Old
depth
and
of feeling,
grouchy.
I thought, you spend a lot of time listening to Guy Pearce's inner monologue. He seems at base level to like a reasonable guy. He tried to be helpful with those people. I guess you can't believe him. Like he could have just told him he was like this, told himself and us that he was like this, that he was a nice
Right.
guy. But at the end, it seemed like it came out of complete left field when he decided to just murder this random dude to fulfill a bloodlust that apparently he knows he has.
I guess.
I didn't buy that at all this time.
No,
I thought it was like a
no.
really good twist back in the day, but now I'm just like, that came out of fucking nowhere. And I don't buy that this guy would just be like, how about you? I could kill you. It's like, how about you just go on a fucking murder spree then? Like, what's
Yep.
stopping you from doing that?
Mhm.
Nothing.
I don't know. Another movie, another $9 million.
Memento
movie.
2.
I also found it very unlikely that two people that have this very rare illness were in connection with each other in a very meaningful way.
Oh, but
That's
the other
true.
guy didn't exist. There was only one.
No, he
What do you mean?
existed. He just was faking it. What did Teddy say at the end?
No, I thought he didn't exist at all, and this was Teddy, and it was all made up.
No.
Yeah, I
He
thought
said
he was just
Sammy.
making it
He
up
said
about
at the end,
himself.
Sammy didn't have a wife.
Oh,
And Sammy was.
right.
Sammy was the actual thing, but okay,
There
sorry.
was
I
no,
just
that's
I
right.
didn't-
That's a good point.
I don't know.
I
Yeah,
forgot
okay.
And I think
So
Sammy
he
was a
actually
con
existed.
artist. Yeah. So I think that leads more to the fact that Guy Pearce's character is good at reading people, because he did read this guy was a con man, but then he's
Mhm.
conditioned himself to forget that because he wants like this alternate past for himself
Right.
sort of thing.
Okay,
Okay.
that checks out.
Yeah.
Good job.
I listened to the commentary track. I can't take all the credit, guys. Come on.
Okay.
That's
That
true.
probably helped.
That's true.
How
You
does
should just
Nolan-
take all the
It
credit. No one
How
will
does
know.
he come across in the commentary track? Is he nice?
It's hard to say. He talks very quietly and he's very British, very mumbly.
Oh.
It was a lot. I can't do like he's not
right.
Willem Dafoe, but he has a very quiet. He's
He's
kind of a Michael Caine when he's quiet.
Oh, really? Michael Caine?
A little bit
Michael
of
Caine.
Michael Caine.
but when he's quiet,
Well, when I'm quiet,
Michael Caine, but when he's quiet.
I'm Michael Caine.
it's the closest I can think. So it was very hard. I cranked the freaking volume, and then there were some parts where like the flashbacks in the movie, the fast ones that are supposed to scare you, like the wink, wink, like they're slashing cuts, were super fucking loud and scared me and the cats.
Oh, wow.
So that was not fun there.
Hey, buddy. Sorry, buddy.
Sorry, bud.
Yeah.
See you in a couple hours after you come out hiding from underneath the couch.
That's crazy. Poor guys.
So yeah, I told you about the ending with the 4 different commentary tracks. The beginning of the commentary track also comes in reverse for like the first 10 seconds. So between like it being very quiet and being backwards, I had to rewind it a couple times.
Oh, dear.
So that's very fun. Thanks, Christopher, for that. That first scene, we're just going right into trivia. Everyone's happy with that? We're done with
no
the
big
thing?
deal.
Yeah. When they shot that backwards footage, they didn't shoot it regularly and then process it backwards. They knew they wanted the backwards shots and they didn't want to have to do extra work. So they used what apparently is called a reverse mag in the camera, which when you film it normally and when you play it back, it comes out backwards. So somehow it's like loaded
cool.
in
Like
backwards.
magic. Yeah.
I guess.
That's pretty cool.
Okay.
So that's what they use.
Cool.
So every shot in that scene is from a reverse mag camera, except for the shot where there's a bullet in the center of the frame, and then you see it like go back up to the gun.
Yeah.
That's just a bullet on the ground, and then he's blowing on it with his breath. Because they figured like if you threw a bullet down to the center of a camera shot, it's never going to land right in the center. So you start it in the center, and then
they blow
it.
away.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fun.
It looks pretty good. You can't tell it's different.
Yeah, it did look good. It did.
All the sound in that reverse footage scene is forward. They didn't reverse the sound. They played the sounds forward
Right.
to kind of make it so it wasn't so weird, if that makes sense. Most of Guy's improvising came from the black and white scenes. A lot of him talking on the phone and stuff was just him getting to certain plot points, I guess, by like riffing into the phone.
Huh.
Not highlights of the films. Not memorable dialogue there.
No, just a lot of exposition, really.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just explaining his backstory, explaining like the condition, all that stuff. The hotel exterior and like corridors and front desk was a real hotel they found. And they loved it because it was just, you had to go through the front lobby and it was very confined. So you had to talk to the guy. So that would work in the plot. And just the way that it was laid out was like he said it was like an MC Escher hotel. So it like fit with, him being fractured and all that shit. But then all the hotel interiors were sets throughout, which, as he pointed out, looked pretty good because the windows had like really, really bright lights. So it looked real. Done intentionally. He said he had seen this movie thousands of times. Thousands of times.
He has seen this movie. He's seen his own movie thousands of
He's
times.
Thousands of
seen his
times.
own movie thousands of times.
I don't know if it's because he watches it all the time or because he was involved in the editing.
Probably involved in the editing.
Probably,
Oh,
but still,
yeah.
that's thousands of times. Probably an
That's a
exaggeration,
lot of
but it
times.
surprised me when he said it.
That's a lot of times. I mean, just do the math on the
Hundreds
2 hours times
would be
1,000,
a lot to
right?
say.
It's
Right,
2,000
yeah,
hours.
2 hours, 2,000 hours.
Why do you think he's so
Yeah.
good, TC? He learns from the best himself.
2,000 hours. That's like how long you have to. That's like long. That's how long you have to. Yeah, that's a good point. That's good.
That's why his characters
Yeah,
get more and
yeah.
more shallow as he goes on because he
Yeah,
just like
yeah. It's
learns
all
the
about
movie
him.
tricks. Yeah.
Yeah, he's all the characters. You didn't know that. Yeah, 2,000 hours is a lot, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, like
how many
He's
hours
watching.
do
He's
you
like,
have to fly?
I am Guy Pearce. That's
How
how
do
I
you?
am.
How many hours
I
do you have
am
to
gonna-
fly to get a pilot's license?
This is so good. I'm confused.
Like,
Guy Pearce came on to set 2 weeks early before the shoot to help cut the script down because they knew there was not going to be any like cutting for time with the way the script was. So he helped bring that down a bit. Yeah, it was 25-day shoot. All the Dodd hotel room stuff, like the showering, the fight, all that stuff was shot on a single day. He pointed out a few inconsistencies in the storytelling in terms of like the props. The photograph of Dodd's face didn't match Dodd's face when he took the picture. There's a lot more blood on Dodd's face in the photo than there was when he took the picture of it. So small stuff like that. He pointed out a bunch.
that I didn't notice. Did
Yeah.
you?
No.
Yeah.
Most of it's pretty good. Like the handwriting on the back of the pictures obviously stays the same. The tattoo stuff stays the same. The big stuff. This movie jumps time 113 times.
Yikes.
Wow.
That's a lot. Did you guys notice when it transitioned from black and white to color?
Yeah.
You did. When?
It was like what, the third or fourth scene?
No. Sorry. When at the very end, when it's the last scene of the movie where it starts in black and white and ends in color.
No, I
John?
didn't notice.
I don't think I did notice.
I didn't notice it either.
I saw it.
So I noticed like maybe 1 or 2 minutes after it had gone to color. I was like, oh, it's in color now. What the fuck? When did that happen?
Now you blend. Now you're real. Now supposedly you're those two timelines.
Right. Yeah.
The two timelines are just mended.
But they picked it, and apparently he said like nobody notices when it happens. It's because
I didn't notice.
It's when he kills the guy, takes a picture of him, and you see the developing photograph, and it starts in black and white, and then it fades into color.
So that and then you just move on with color.
And then you move on.
And then you move on. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Nice. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah,
that's really good. Those are little things where he is good at like Easter egg stuff.
He's got really good editing ideas. I mean, this is pretty damn original. This was 3 years before Eternal Sunshine, and this probably had a huge influence on that movie. Eternal Sunshine did it way better, in my opinion, because there was like actual emotion and real characters.
Right, characters, relationships.
Yeah, and this stuff like it wasn't so much focused on like how cool the editing was. The editing was like there to support the characters and the story.
There was a fucking script.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I agree. It's a really good contrast there.
But if it wasn't for this, then who knows if it would have been created.
These ideas were innovative at the time, and the movie really made a splash. And
I found it pretty entertaining to watch personally, especially in the first half.
I mean, it wasn't the worst movie I've watched as of late. So,
watching a lot of bad ones over there, TC.
I mean, when sometimes I watch bad movies and I read. Because I got issues and I need like something going on while I'm doing something else.
You have a book open?
I usually read and then I can hear the TV in the background and I kind of skip around.
You pick which one is more entertaining at any given second and then just hop back and forth.
And my ADD just hops back and forth in between the two.
Nice.
Yep, exactly right.
Are you training yourself to be more ADD or is that helpful?
I'm training myself to like ignore certain things in a way, right? So if I'm like reading, I can I'm like, okay, you're going to focus on reading, like all this other bullshit you're going to ignore. And it's supposed to be to train myself. I came up with this on my own, which is why it's probably not working. It's supposed to train myself to be like more calm and to like be able to ignore certain things. Yeah. And then just like focus on a meditation. And the reading has become that as of late just because it's,
Dr. John, does that check out?
Yeah. Does it make you happy? Good.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Are you happy? Yes or no?
It makes me calm at night.
Unhappy?
Yeah, right.
Fine.
There you go. That's the way to put it. Yeah, then do it.
Small steps towards the positive.
Hey, but anyway.
That's all I got. John, you kind of talked about your short story there. Was there anything else in that?
You can just search online for the short story Memento, Mi Amor, whatever it's called. But just short story, just search Memento Esquire, and you can just read the thing. It's all there. It takes it's maybe like a 15-minute read. So it's very short. It's just very, it does not have nearly the plot points. But the idea is that he wakes up in a hospital though, and then he shifts to another room, and I don't know why, but.
Doesn't matter. He doesn't have time, John. Fuck him.
He doesn't have time, and it doesn't matter. It's all lies.
We have 2 more Christopher Nolan movies.
Oh, we do?
Two
Batman?
more. Oh, actually, 3. We have 3 more.
We have Interstellar. We have Inception, and then we have another Batman, right?
The Dark Knight Rises, or the Dark Knight.
I like the Dark Knight.
And the Dark Knight Rises, actually, because we skipped that one, so we could do it next to the Dark Knight. So we have 4.
Yeah.
God damn it!
Just get ready,
Plus,
John.
I'm gonna make you guys watch Oppenheimer when it comes out too, because that looks pretty good.
Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cillian Murphy.
Which I like.
We'll see.
I like him. Yeah. So I'll watch that.
All right, so guys, we're gonna do something we haven't done in a while. You ready?
Wait, first, are we going to do top 250?
We already did at the beginning.
Okay, I forget what we said. But then,
I'm not sure we answered it.
I don't think we.
Did we do it? I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I should say yes. This is the one Christopher Nolan film that I think I'll say yes on.
You didn't say yes on Batman Begins?
No.
I'm going to go back and check that. That's that doesn't sound right to me, John.
Really?
I thought we all liked that one. You're just a cranky old man today, is what it is.
Cranky old man right now.
Dude, you put that blanket on your shoulders and the cranky factor goes up a factor of 2.
It does.
Yeah, he's cold.
I'm just cold and old.
How are you cold? I thought it was a heat wave everywhere. I guess it's just California.
No, not us. We're fine. No, it's more this basement.
Oh, nice. Does it stay cool down there when it's 100 degrees outside?
It's cool in the basement here. We're below ground here.
You should start a wine collection.
That'd be a good idea.
If you want
And
to
try not to drink it all.
Well, that's the problem.
You got to drink twice as many as you're willing to drink,
If only
and
I
you'll
would
collect some.
do
That's right.
that part. Yeah, that would be great.
So next week,
Yes.
we're going to stick to the list 2 episodes in a row for a reason.
Why?
Because we're going to do 3 bonus episodes in a row after that, or 4 actually, because it's Halloween.
Because it's October.
Yeah.
I love
Right.
it.
So
It's a scary month. Okay.
TC's been happy about this one for a while. Looking forward to it for next
What one?
week. Gladiator.
Oh,
All
yeah,
right.
baby. I've been
Ridley.
listening to the soundtrack
Nice.
nonstop because I'm more productive when I listen to Gladiator. I mean, that's just what it is. Archers!
You just
You know,
slay
all that.
work
Yeah,
I
tasks.
can't wait. I can't wait. That's right.
I see you doing your work, screaming, "Are you not entertained?
Are you not? Yeah, right. Exactly. Father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next.
I have never seen this movie all the way through.
Oh, I can't wait.
Whoa, really?
I love
And this movie came out the same year as Memento. So we can
I
compare
saw
and
it
contrast the movies of the times.
Yep. If you
Well,
find yourself in
that's-
Elysium,
All right, so
already dead.
there's 2 cuts of this movie too. So make sure you
Uh-oh.
watch the theatrical cut.
Okay,
yeah,
Because there's an
Uh-huh.
extended version, and
I don't
even
need
Ridley
that
Scott
one.
says it's not as good.
yeah, you don't need it.
good. I love Ridley. His films are always like all over
Yeah.
the place. in terms
Because
of-
he doesn't do it. This one, apparently it's like the extra scenes that he didn't want in there.
Right.
And the
so
studio people were
somebody-
like,
God
"Eh,
damn
here's
it,
some
this
extra
guy-
scenes."
Is
And he's
there
like,
another
"Whatever."
director whose films have just been not in his control? I mean,
I don't
Hey man,
think so.
studios, you want them to make a film
I
or not?
know,
man?
but poor
Yeah.
Ridley, it's like over
He
and
works in
over
like the
again, this seems
$200
to
million
happen to this guy.
range movies, and
Those are
you
such-
can't make
yeah,
those indie.
it's-
That's way too much
Yeah,
money.
so, but then he just somehow keeps not getting final rights to the
Nah,
film.
because
yeah.
you can't. It's a corporation at that point, at that level. So you're not able. It's like a board of directors, right? There's executive producers. There's people that you're not above. They're above you,
It's
right?
just, it
I
just
mean,
seems
that's
to
just
really
what it
hit
is.
Ridley
Yeah.
in a big way. I mean, just like with
Dude,
Blade
the
Runner.
business is fucking
with
cutthroat.
Alien.
I don't know what to tell you. You know,
Yeah.
Well, it's
the
different for
creative
every one of his
part is-
movies because Blade Runner,
you know.
the extended version is better because the studio fucked
Blade
up
Runner,
the first
final
cut.
cut is awesome. Yeah,
Yeah, but then,
I
like,
don't
with
know, but
Alien, the
doesn't-
first
Alien
cut
doesn't
is
have
better.
multiple cuts. Alien doesn't have multiple cuts, does it?
Well, it has deleted scenes that you can watch now,
well, yes, but it's not like there's not multiple cuts.
Right.
Multiple cuts of the film.
but there's also Kingdoms of Heaven that the studio cut down.
Kingdom of I think
Kingdom of
yeah.
Heaven.
Yeah.
Well, the studio cut it down, and the extended version is the better one there. And then this one, the theatrical version, is better. So it's just like, I don't know.
I mean, the
Depends.
theatrical version, yeah, it was probably
Whichever
the
one
most,
Ridley likes the best is the better
Yeah.
one.
Yes, that is the correct choice, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say at least that's been the case so far.
That's
in terms
true.
of- yeah.
I mean, the Hans Zimmer work on this one is great too.
Uh-huh.
He's just so good at this.
I haven't seen
Russell
this movie.
Crowe at the height of his Russell Crowe-ness.
Yeah, and the
I'm
Hans
afraid.
Zimmer.
I'm afraid of this movie, to be
And
honest.
you'll listen if you listen to the soundtrack, which I do all the time.
I've seen parts of this movie
it's-
on
it's
television,
great.
and I've avoided it because I don't think I'll like it. But
Oh, you'll like
Well,
it. You'll like
we'll
it.
see.
You know,
We'll find
I
out.
think. Well, you know what I like about the most is it hits every like writer's point, right? Like it's got all those things you need. It's got the
tragedy,
fucking
revenge.
tragedy. It's got the revenge. It's got the action. It's got the fighting. It's got the scenes that
got
like,
tigers.
have insane amounts of people. It's got, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just everything on an nth degree of like insanity, right? So I think there's just so much of that in going on that like you make sure you're watching it on your 5.1, get that fucking system up. Because there's some fucking amazing fight scenes with the great sound in there. For
Okay.
All right.
I'll
just
focus
like-
on that. I will certainly
yeah,
focus on that.
blow your socks off type fights for and as long as the bass is good, it's sick. I've watched the movie probably, I don't know, thousands of times.
Thousands of times.
Yeah. No, I know
Nice.
what he means.
All right,
No.
I'm excited for it now, just because
Yeah,
of the sound.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Plus, it's Russell Crowe. Oh, I've been fighting around the world. I mean, that's funny no matter what. So, yeah, he's always fighting. All right. Well, thank you guys.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, guys. Talk to you next week.
Talk to you next week.
Timmy.
Later.
Stop 'em.